Hi, welcome back to our playlist of videos on writing and editing transfer pricing reports. We want to talk a little bit more about readability. We've talked in previous videos about the need to shorten long sentences, but that can be really hard to do and often hard to spot the long sentences in your own writing. But we have tools for that. Let's start off with an example of what some of these can actually look like. This is the first half of a paragraph that was contained in one transfer pricing report. I'm going to leave it up here for a moment so you can try to read through it and get a feel for someone writing very long sentences and trying to pack too much information into too tight of a space. You can always pause this video and look at some more. Here's the rest of that paragraph. See how long it goes on. And as you can see, this is very information-dense material. Now, what's going on in this paragraph and what are some of the problems that you need to address as an editor if this shows up on your desk? Well, first off, it has 312 words that are in 9 sentences, so the average sentence length is 34.7, nearly 35 words per sentence. Remember, a target to aim for, 11 words and one idea. So sentences here are running about 3 times as long on average as they should be for easy reading. It has a lot of different major ideas presented in just one paragraph, so this should definitely be split into multiple paragraphs. Realistically, with 312 words, if you had been trying to aim for 11 words per sentence, that would imply about 28 sentences. Okay, that's probably more than what we're really going to break this into if we edit it, but it is a very long, dense paragraph. Even if you change that a good bit, your 28, got cut to 20 or 18, you still have nearly twice as many sentences as you have in the original paragraph. I'd say it probably needs to be multiple paragraphs, maybe as 5 to 9, depending upon how short a paragraph you'd like to write. It's very hard to spot a topic sentence because there's so many topic sentences within just one paragraph, hence the need to break it into separate paragraphs. When you run a readability score on this one paragraph, what you get is a Flesch-Kincaid grade level of 16.6. That would imply that you have to be a first-year graduate student in order to be able to read this type of material and understand it at this level. I mean, that's expecting too much. People are not going to plow through material that is written this densely, and they're just going to stop reading. They're going to stop following your argument. If some key fact for your argument is buried in there, they're not going to retain it and take it forward in the report if this is the writing style. So how do you improve the readability? Well, you want to shorten the sentences. We've been driving that home. Shorter sentences, easier to read. You can think of it as the mantra, 11 words and one idea. A strong topic sentence, that's the first sentence of a paragraph, so a reader who's reading quickly knows exactly where the argument is going. You want a coherent narrative, so discussion of any facts that are unnecessary to supporting your argument should be pared out. You want it, to whatever extent possible, to follow a linear path from beginning to end. Even if your analysis is wandering around, you're never likely to find it. It's going to get lost. So you want to find a straight path to the right answer. So here is this very, very dense paragraph. How do we deal with this kind of a situation? Well, we have a tool for this now. It's the long sentence highlighter tool, and it's available within the GTPS wiki on the page Editing Transfer Pricing Reports. When you run this tool, and you can download it from the wiki and save it to your computer so you can run it. Once you run it, it will highlight the sentences based upon the length of the sentence will be determined by the color coding, or the color coding, or the length of the sentence determines what color it will be highlighted in. If you have any sentences that are in that sort of pinkish magenta color, they are much, much too long and they absolutely must be pared down. If you have sentences that are in the yellow, they are very long and should be pared down. Sentences that are green, they're long. They could be pared down, but not as critical as the other two. If the sentence isn't highlighted at all, that means it's a relatively short sentence and probably doesn't need any editing for length at all. When we run this macro on that particular paragraph, here is what we get. You can see that there's one horrifically long sentence. It's actually so long because it's a series. It has a series at the end of the sentence that has got 4 different major points in it. Simply making those bullet points will do a tremendous amount towards making this more readable. While you might say, well, but technically that's still one long sentence. Yes, but to your mind's eye, it breaks each of those bullet points down to a separate sentence. And so it counts it quite differently. As you can see, 1 horrifically long sentence, 3 very long sentences. If you edit those, you can improve the readability of this a lot. And I'd actually suggest that as an exercise. We'll leave this paragraph up on the wiki page if you want to download it. And then just take a crack at a rewrite to see how you can change it and therefore improve the readability by shortening the sentences. As you can see in this entire paragraph, only 2 sentences are not highlighted, implying that they are relatively short enough for an easy read. So, first off, never ask a sentence to do too much. One idea is plenty. If there are parenthetical phrases embedded within sentences, consider whether you should be making them separate sentences or eliminating them if they're not necessary. Here's an example of asking one sentence to do just too much. So just give it I was going to say a quick read, but I'm not sure that's possible. In light of the fact that not all loans in the underlying asset portfolio will default at the same time, the recovery rate should be estimated by analyzing the amount of performing loans, parentheses, which are likely to be recovered fully, close paren, and non-performing loans, paren, of which only a certain percentage would be recovered, close paren, separately at the time client would default. There's an awful lot going on there, 60 words in total in that sentence. So clearly a need for that kind of a sentence to be rewritten. It could be a whole paragraph that's really being forced to be presented in just one sentence. So thank you. I hope that's been an enlightening presentation on sentence lengths and how to edit them down and using the highlighting tool. We'll talk to you in some more videos on how to further improve your writing and the editing of transfer pricing reports.